Hey tubers, welcome back for another adventure. And you know what you need? You need a carport. Let me tell you about it. So what you are looking at is a 24 by 24 carport. I bought it from Versatube and it stands on 6-foot legs. 6-foot legs get you 82 inches for that cross beam. Took them about 6 weeks to get it to me, and the cost was about $5,800. I had to put in about 6 yards of item 4, and I had to rent an excavator to level the ground here. It's clay, a lot of rock in it and so forth, just to show you this kind of stuff, right? These buried boulders that are just the right height to destroy your lawnmower. So, grand totaled, I probably have like $7,500 tied up in this whole thing. But I learned a few things with this. First of all, I learned how to build it. So a friend and I built this thing in about 16 hours. And what could I tell you about building it? First of all, about the ground. Make sure you're level. Particularly side to side for the long rails, they have to be level, and if you really want them level to each other. We ended up using a laser, one of those spinning lasers in the center. Then we set up a string line, and you just kind of level the material under the string line. And by the way, you make the string line about 6 inches above the ground, right? Stakes. We put in those metal stakes at 24 by 24 and on each of the corners. And then once again with the laser level, we just drew a line on each one, ran a string, and it was easy enough to put material in and subtract material until we got things level. About squaring it off, we just measured inside corner to inside corner, made sure those measurements matched. Made sure as we were doing things, everything landed level, right? And you just assemble it like a jigsaw puzzle. Not hard, just labor. For me, all my material was alongside the lower driveway, so we had to carry it in. If it was a little closer, it probably would have taken us less time. Each piece we had to go and get. Some of these longer pieces, this is 24 by 24, but the roof overhangs a little bit, so that's 26 feet long. You really want to be careful that you don't mess with that stuff on a windy day. It will fold up on you, and even carrying it, what we would do is roll it and tie it with the string, and then hang on to the strings. If you kind of keep it long way, once again, it's very, very easy to put a crease in it. The roofing material isn't very thick. And even when you're putting it on top, right, you start there and you slide the next piece underneath and so forth. So this piece, you put all the self-tappers on, it's attached except for the very end ones. You slide your piece under and you keep working your way down. You really can't go back up there and walk around on it. You'll dent everything up. You really have to put plywood or something else to kind of bridge in between. If not, once again, you will dent it. It dents pretty easy. This stuff isn't that thick. Handling the uprights, common sense. You don't want to throw them around. If you dent things up, either down here or up there, then it's going to be hard to slide things together. Follow the instructions. Not that big a deal. Once again, a friend and I did this in 16 hours, and we're both senior citizens, so you can see it's relatively easy. One of the major things I learned, though, when it came to this, had more to do with buying it. I bought it initially and ended up having to cancel the order and get my money back. I bought it from somebody who sells them. Then he gives the order to the person who manufactures them, who orders the metal, who then contacts yet another person to ship it, then yet somebody else delivers it. The person who sold it to me, they got their money up front. My deposit was their paycheck. So they weren't in much interest. They didn't have much interest in helping me when the carport just wasn't showing up. I ordered it before Labor Day last year. As we were approaching Halloween, I was calling them almost every day asking, where's my carport? Where's my carport? And then it was almost Thanksgiving before they finally admitted, hey, we're shut down for the season because we couldn't get metal to make carports. They were importing the metal from China. At that point, I contacted Discover, who refunded my money, but the salesperson kept putting the charge back on my credit card, even though the carport was not coming. So, be very careful about who you buy it from. The nice thing about Versatube, they sell it to you. They manufacture it. They get the metal from someplace else, but it's American metal, right? They ship it, and there you go. Then you got it. When I ran out of self-tappers because I put too many in on the roof, I called them up and said, yo, I think you shorted me a bag of self-tapping hardware. And their response was, no, we sent you this many, and that was as many as you needed. Very confident. And I said, oh. And they said, you probably put in too many. We'll send you another bag free of charge. We'll overnight it. You'll have it in no time. I mean, that was perfect, right? That's really what you want. This carport has been exposed to winds. I think maximum gust was somewhere in the 60s. And if you take a quick look there, and in all four, just one off from the corner, I put in rebar with a chain through it, and then I poured a couple of bags of that Quikrete, so 160 pounds of Quikrete. That's like 3 foot down 4 times, and you guys could see the chain, and the chains to this support and the bottom plate, right? And there's a couple more brackets I want to put there. It's not necessary, it's not part of the engineering design, but I think that'll hold it down against the biggest winds. If you put all the hardware on the panels and you attach it to the ground properly, I think these things are pretty good. I don't think you're going to have any trouble with the lifting. When they sell it to you, they give you stakes that are about 2 foot long. For the kind of ground I have here with the amount of rock, you're never going to bang them in. You're never going to put all of them in 2 foot. I think there's like 6 per side. I think 8 per side. And I think I managed to get like about half of them in all the way. Some of them are right near where I poured the concrete. So I put a little hook on the end of the stake, and I poured enough concrete into the holes that some of those hook on the end of the stake is into the concrete, so it's not coming up. The stakes, in my opinion, help keep it from splaying out or splaying in, so to speak. It keeps the bottom from kicking out. Just in case you tap it with an all-terrain vehicle, or if you get a snow load on it, or if the wind's kind of rocking it from side to side, I think it keeps the base somewhat in place. But those stakes don't keep it from lifting unless, once again, you put a hook on them and put them into concrete. See the little pieces of pipe sticking out of them? I ran the pipe down to the bottom of the cement hole, taped up the bottom of the pipe also. So just in case somebody wants to see how far the footings go down, they can put a little tape measure in there, and they'll see that the bottom of the footings are in fact 3 feet or more down, except for one where I hit ledge on that side. In that case, I just made the footing a little bigger, so it's harder to pull back up. Your carport structurally, I mean, the framing metal is more than enough to hold it up, but in my mind, I was kind of deluded to the point where I was going to be able to, put some wood rails, so to speak, and lean all-terrain vehicles up against it, like have a flock of 200 S's along this wall. That is not a good idea. This carport is not strong enough, right? All you have is that to keep it from rocking over, right? You're pushing on that one and pulling on that side. And with the wind blowing and rattling it back and forth, I think it would only be a matter of time before your carport structurally fails. Theoretically, I can lean 200 S's on that one and a corresponding one on that one, but it really is just not a good idea. Use the carport to support the carport. If you want to support anything else in here, put pallet racking or whatever else. Make sure the pallet racking has enough weight to hold it to the floor, and then lean what you want against the pallet racking and put whatever you want into the pallet racking in there. That way you're not relying on the carport to be structural. That's just not a good idea, so do yourself a favor, don't do it. Don't build shelves hanging, cantilevering out from this or anything like that. The metal for the carport is meant for supporting the carport and not much else. You guys could see on top, I threw a bunch of those 2x4s. I might store some all-terrain vehicle plastic up there. It's light. I don't think it'll cause me any trouble, especially when I put the extra bracket on the top. I think it'll help support everything, but that is not an upstairs. You shouldn't be putting weight. That's just to keep the top from pushing down, right? So once again, the carport is supporting the carport, and they didn't include a bunch extra in the engineering that you could use it to build other stuff. So let me finish by saying this carport, just a very positive experience. I'm really happy I built it. It's a nice shady spot to work in the summer. I've been through the spring and now I'm starting the fall with it. You know what? It's a dry spot to work. I do have a little trouble with mosquitoes under here. Not that there's standing water, right? This does dry out. But mosquitoes seem to like to cluster under here. So when I put on my bug spray, I make sure I do it while I'm under here, right? And just the lingering bug spray seems to help. Or if you start up that Polaris over there and run it for 30 seconds, the smoke chases them away too. Between kind of the foliage and sheds out there and the garage out here, right, there are plenty of air changes, but generally speaking, there'll be enough of a linger of all-terrain vehicle smoke or off where they bother you a little less. Let me finish off. Just let me talk about the orientation. That wall is due south, west, east, and obviously north. I set it up that I have a wall facing south because that's where most of my weather comes from. When I have a storm blowing up, when I have rain blowing in, even with snow or whatever, it always seems to come from that side. So if that side was open, the snow would blow right in, right? And cover all my treasure. So you want to wall that side. By having the garage here and just that corner open, the rain stays out. Rain does not blow in here. Rain typically doesn't blow in the east side either. Between the sheds and the foliage, it seems that it knocks the wind down enough where I got nothing blowing in. You'll also notice that I didn't put the last piece on the bottom. That allows a little airflow underneath here. And the airflow helps keep it nice and dry and also helps dry out that mess. And there'll probably be I have an idea on how to put gutters on this thing. So when I do that video, and hopefully my gutter idea works well, and that keeps the water out of here, helps dry this up a little bit. I have a load of patio blocks, enough patio blocks where I can do the floor of this thing. But I've been debating if I want to do all patio blocks or if I want to do like a 12 by 12 section in the center that's concrete, and then put patio blocks around it. And And if I do that concrete thing in the center, do I want to set it up with some hooks, perhaps buried at ground level with a little plate on them, so that I can pull, right, like pull on an all-terrain vehicle frame? My thoughts would be to, like this all-terrain vehicle with the bent frame there, to be able to attach it to the ground and be able to pull it straight again. So, you know, when you're doing things, sometimes trying to make them do everything slows you down, because it's like one idea on top of the other. Meanwhile, you're doing nothing. So probably that's not going to happen. Probably I'm just going to end up using the patio block that I already own. But to do that, obviously, I got to get this place empty again. I got to get it, the item 4, leveled up. Then I need to put down a weed barrier. On top of the weed barrier, you put sand. And then you start laying, you know, leveled sand. And then you start laying your blocks out nice and neat and tap them down. And it should be a nice surface to work on. So, finishing off, you need a carport. It's a great thing. You don't quite have to fill it up as much as I filled up this one. As a matter of fact, if I bought a vacant piece of land, large acreage, you know, 10, 20 acres, I probably would love to build like a 30 by 40 one of these, and underneath it, build kind of a little shop thing, right? Use this as the roof, and then just kind of frame in a little shop situation with a heater. And if it was just a camping type place, I would probably put a little cabin type situation into it also. That way I got my shop, I got my cabin, and I got a huge open area where I could keep things. This does not have doors. So if you build one without doors in such a place that you have to worry about things, you got to do what I do, right? You kind of keep a 12 gauger somewhere close. You keep cameras, and you make sure you have trustworthy friends keep an eye on the place should I not be here, which is rare. I want to thank you all for dropping by to watch and comment and subscribe. Go buy yourself a carport. Remember to keep your feet down, your heads up, and get out and enjoy each and every day. You don't know how many you're going to get, so get out there and have some fun. Bye now.